Very happy with where we're at right now.
Did you feel like some of the off-season stuff would affect you guys? It doesn't seem like it has. I've talked to some guys and talked to Kirk that said, yeah, maybe early on, but it didn't seem to last.
No, it didn't, and I think it's a credit to our coaches and the high school kids believing in our program. Our current kids on our team right now have done a great job selling the program. And I think our staff and Coach Ferentz have done a tremendous job in their efforts in recruiting. If we would have kind of put a half-hearted effort out as a staff, I don't think we would have had the success that we've had so far. Now, it's got to carry out through the season, and as we always talk about, right now we're at the beginning of the marathon. We got a long ways to go in recruiting.
Seems like there's more guys nowadays that decommit. How do you prepare for that? How do you prepare? Like you think you've got a position filled, and then a guy decommits. Can you prepare for that?
Well, we're recruiting our committed guys as hard as we are recruiting guys that haven't committed to us yet. And that's really the only thing you can do. Part of it, and we try to be as proactive with it as we possibly can. Making sure those guys have done as much research as they possibly can. There are some other programs that have already had some decommitments, that they're forcing those kids' hands and doing all that, and they haven't given the kid a chance to research anyplace else. Now, obviously the kid's going to have some questions in his mind, and so we try to let them go through the process, make sure they do hit a couple schools if possible, so they do have some background, understand what they're looking for in a program, and then when they make that decision, hopefully it's the right one. We've had some decommitments last year. You do whatever you can, it's going to happen. I mean, it's kind of the way society is right now. There aren't a lot of people behind those kids saying, hey, make sure you know what you're doing, so that when you do make a commitment, that's your word and it means something. So, I think we got some good kids in right now. I think they have that kind of background. We're hoping. I think it's going to be a pretty good class in that respect.
See, you've gotten some of the older coaches on Facebook now. Kirk even talked about it in Chicago. I was surprised last week. You guys got to do that stuff now, don't you?
It was actually the older coach that got us. Ken was the one that started
really?
it. Yeah. Okay. I was the one. I'm a little bit nervous about putting myself out there, and so I kind of was hesitant in going about doing the Facebook, but it really hasn't been that bad. It's funny, kind of the people that in your background that have kind of popped up and stuff like that you haven't heard about. And I think there's some people that collect friends on that thing, but it's actually a pretty good way to communicate with the kids. We found that they may not even open our handwritten notes as much anymore. They may not open our emails, but they do read the messages that you send them on Facebook. So, that's the way of the world and how it's going. So we got to keep up with it. If you don't want to be a coach, in college at least, you probably shouldn't be doing that Facebook.
Have you noticed yourself becoming more well-known, I guess, around the community and whatnot and online, like when you have people following your tweets or reading your Facebooks and hearing, there's a new member of the family, I think is the way you put it?
Yeah, that's really not why I do it. So I don't really pay attention to that. I mean, it's strictly to get that information out there, try to generate excitement for our program. So that's really the main purpose, and I haven't paid any attention to the after effects, community-wise.
On the other side of what you do, what are your expectations going forward for CJ in the offense?
CJ, somebody asked about Brad and CJ. I mean, they've got a lot of improvement to make. Every day it's our goal to get better. And I know that sounds cliche, but in our program we really stress fundamentals and improving each day, and that's all we're setting out for them. We have 6 guys in camp. And, Brad's probably got the most experience out of any of them. But at the same point, in my mind, they're all even, and we're going to figure out the best 4 that come out of that to create our 2 deep. We kind of go in with 4 guys rather than 2 guys just because of the amount of 2 tight end sets that we use. So we got to find 4 workable guys to allow us to have success in our offense. So we're going to look for those 4 guys. We just got our first practice in. If you guys were out at practice today, you'd see we're nowhere near close to being a ready group, and we'll just hopefully see a lot of improvement between now and practice 29.
What's the number one thing you look for in your guys to get on the field, get some playing time, and contribute? blocking? Is it catching? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is the knowledge of the position, because our guys have to know the Y position, the tight end / fullback position when they become H. We can split them out, so they have to know the slot receiver. We could put them on the one receiver side, which makes them have to know the X, and then we could split them out past the inside slot guy, which makes them or allows them to have to know the Z position. So they have to know what they're doing, because there's a lot of stuff going in. And then you throw in the pass game, they have to know all the hots and sights. We're responsible for all that. So if they don't know what they're doing, they're not going to be able to play fast, and they're going to be hesitant in everything they do. So they have to have the knowledge. And then we expect our guys to be proficient in the pass game. So they have to have the skills of a wide receiver, but they also have the physicalness of an offensive lineman. So there's a lot that goes into it. Now, you may have a guy that's a little bit better in the pass game than he is in the run game, or vice versa, a little bit better in the run game than the pass game, and you kind of work to hide those weaknesses and all that. But it starts with knowledge, and then they got to want to compete, be physical, and play fast. And I know that's a lot in there, but that's really what we look for.
How hard is that for the true freshmen?
It's hard. I mean, they're swimming in, with the way offenses are going, really tight end in high school is a projection in college. You have so many guys that are playing in those spread offenses that you get those big wide receivers, and you try to figure out how tough they are in their system. Hopefully you get them in camp, in your high school camps to figure that out. But most of them, a la CJ never blocked till he came to college. So, that blocking is a huge learning curve. It's easy to kind of go out and run routes, and even that, a lot of them just play off their athleticism. They round things, they're not sharp getting in and out of things. So, I mean, Coach O'Keefe made a joke in the locker room about it's fun watching the freshman tight ends, because really they are like baby deer in headlights, I mean, trying to figure it out, get their steps down. So, you really see as long as they're paying attention to detail, you really see the biggest improvement, from here, like the first practice to the 10th practice and those guys.
Is that going to be fun for you from a teaching perspective to get three guys teaching them all at once?
It's fun and it's scary, Assistant coaches get ripped too, So, we looked out there and I had 3 freshmen as 2s today. So, I put the 3 upperclassmen working with the 1s so they could get their rotation, and put the 3 freshmen in with the 2s. So, you get guys that have been 3 or 4 year players here working with the 2s, and you're throwing in, 3 guys that haven't even. This is the first time they've ever stepped foot on a Iowa practice field, so it makes it interesting. But yeah, it's fun.
You mentioned getting 4 tight ends ready. Does that mean you see one of the true freshmen playing this year?
One of them's going to have to be in the 2 deep for us. Yeah, and we've done that in the past where they haven't played. Brandon Myers, his freshman year, was our 4th tight end, and he went to every game. And he was a guy that wasn't ready to play, but he was going with us, getting his feet wet from a travel standpoint, staying up above with us, rather than having to go down to scout team from a knowledge standpoint. Alan Reisner, his freshman year, was on the exact same track, and then Tony got hurt. We had one other injury. We had another guy that was in front of Alan that, wasn't really ready to go from any standpoint. So Alan got the call 4th or 5th game into that season. So it could happen any time. I mean, it's very rare that we go through a season healthy with our 1 and 2 guys. So eventually somebody's going to move on.
You talk about guys.
Doozy play wide receiver?
Doozy was a wide receiver, yeah.
And Krieger, Coble, and Hamilton were both?
They played a little bit more true tight ends.
Okay.
Yeah, they played a little bit more true tight ends in high school.
Does that give them the upper hand coming in here, or does it matter?
Not really. I mean, both weren't overly proficient in blocking, so they got a little ways to go. So, I think they're all dead even.
You talk about you get some guys coming in from high school that have played in the spread and they're not prepared to play the position how you guys teach it here. Do you think that the way that you teach tight end at Iowa helps guys when they want to move on to that NFL level, like Moiaki and Reisner, even as a camp right now? They're prepared when they move on to that next step.
There's no question about it. Our system is a tremendous system for the tight end in their preparation for that next level. I mean, Coach Ferentz brought this system from his days with the Ravens. You know, our tight ends are built into all the hots and sights. We motion them around just like the NFL does. They play a true tight end. They run true tight end routes. You know, they're just not that wide receiver out there. So it definitely helps them prepare for that next level. Now they have to have the talent to do it, but you know, if they can be successful in our system, which we've showed, they're going to have a chance for that NFL career.
You mentioned CJ. You seem to play